WCBI News at 10 starts now.
An arrest today in connection with last month's social media threat that practically shut down New Hope schools for a day. Thanks for joining us tonight at 10. I'm Scott Martin. Investigators have a juvenile in custody. Now, the name of that suspect is not being released due to their age, but the teen is being charged with cyber stalking. Chief Deputy Mark Miley says several interviews were conducted and forensic analysis performed on several devices. Law enforcement also sent a subpoena to Facebook to get information. The single threat started circulating on social media back on February 25th. A number of juveniles were interviewed, and deputies say that more arrests are possible. Well, with the evolution of technology and the popularity of social media, investigators say they're seeing an increase in cybercrime cases. Our Quentin Smith speaks with a detective who's currently working one of these cases. He now joins us live in the studio with more. Quentin.
Yes, Scott, investigators say working these types of cases are difficult. In fact, they usually call on help from outside agencies like the FBI to help them. And during a recent investigation here in Lowndes County, deputies had to issue a search warrant to a social media company, then sift through a load of paperwork just to find their suspect. When it comes to making threats on social media like this one, whether it's meant to be a prank or not, it's something law enforcement officers don't take lightly.
There have been several arrests made here lately, and in these situations, you have to take them all serious. Lowndes County investigator Tony Cooper is currently working on a case where a student at New Hope allegedly made a threat saying he was going to shoot up the school. In this case, an arrest has been made. It was a juvenile who's been turned over to Lowndes County Youth Court. Cooper says the first thing investigators look for in these cases is the internet provider's address for the user. Then a subpoena is issued to the app or company which has the site to request the records and IP address of the user. I was sending in a subpoena or a search warrant. By the time I would send in the second one, they had already received 10 or 12 others in between mine. So there's one company that's covering the whole United States plus whatever else. And so it can take a little bit of time to get us the records. Once the records finally come in, it allows investigators to zero in on the device and helps them find a suspect. With the way things are nowadays, one set of records for 3 days was 1,400 and something pages. Somebody has to sit down and read each of those pages and find the information that you're looking for. Cooper says most companies in the U.S., such as Facebook, Snapchat, and Google, usually cooperate with law enforcement during these types of investigations. Over time, you do enough of these investigations, you pretty much know what to ask for. But when you're dealing with companies in other countries, they can be a little more difficult because they don't have to follow the subpoena from the United States. So just because I send them a subpoena doesn't mean they're going to reply with the records that I need.
Now, within the past month, WCBI has reported on 2 different schools who have received threats over social media. An arrest has been made in both of those cases, and they're now being handled in youth court. Scott?
All right, thanks, Quentin. One of the men wanted in connection with a deadly shooting of a teenager in Louisville is now in police custody. Police Chief L.M. Claiborne says 19-year-old Jordan Miller turned himself in this afternoon and faces a charge of accessory after the fact in the murder of 17-year-old Tylen Glenn. 20-year-old Isaiah Riggins, the suspected shooter, remains on the run and is believed to be armed and dangerous. The shooting happened Saturday night on Mount Moriah Circle. Investigators say the case appears to be a domestic violence situation. Chief Claiborne says at the time of the shooting, the victim, Tylen Glenn, was sitting in the passenger seat of a vehicle. A female was in the driver's seat and her small child was in the back seat. That's when police believe Riggins approached the passenger side of that vehicle and fired shots inside. The Winston County coroner told us Sunday that Riggins is the father of the female's child.
What it appears to be some type of domestic violence situation that is gone to the extreme, taking the worst possible imaginary turn, and that's about all the information that we're prepared to release at this time on the case.
Chief Claiborne says Isaiah Riggins is believed to be in the Louisville or Golden Triangle area. If you have any information, you're asked to call Louisville Police or the Winston County Crime Stoppers. New at 10, the Choctaw County community comes together tonight to remember a classmate, teammate, and friend. Hundreds gathered at the Choctaw County High School football field to remember Mo Hardin, the popular football and baseball player. He died last week from complications following a liver transplant. But those at tonight's ceremony, they say they choose to remember how he lived.
It's just amazing because my son was a humble child. He had all kinds of friends. It didn't matter was you black, green, yellow, purple. Brothers, that's what he called them. Football team, his brothers. His baseball team, his brothers. He just was enjoying life.
Our thoughts are surely with everybody there in Choctaw County. His funeral will be held Saturday at 11 at the T.Y. Cobb Auditorium. And on a lighter note tonight, it's time to get a first look at our forecast with Chief Meteorologist Keith Gibson. Hey there, Keith.
Hey, Scott. Extensive cloud cover in the region today. There are those clouds earlier today in West Alabama at Durham's Pharmacy in Vernon. So mostly cloudy all day long. We still have overcast conditions in most spots. Temperatures only in the 50s. We've been hanging out in the 50s for a good chunk of the day, too. Tomorrow back into the upper 60s. A few of you will actually get into the low 70s, but more cloud cover. Is still breezy. It's breezy now. It's going to stay breezy tomorrow. But if you're doing any traveling southwest of the Golden Triangle area tomorrow, upper 70s to low 80s, cooler northeast, better rain chances back to the northwest tomorrow. We got some big time storms rumbling across the high plains, and our rain chances go up here Wednesday and Thursday. More in just a few minutes.
Multiple investigations are being launched into Facebook in the wake of its data privacy scandal. Mississippi's Attorney General, he's now investigating the company's policies and practices. Corny Ann Jackson has the latest.
The problem was summarized by Facebook in this way. A quiz app built by a university researcher that leaked Facebook data of millions of people. That's from an ad taken out by Facebook in newspapers across the country Sunday. But Attorney General Jim Hood explains it wasn't just the Facebook users who downloaded that app who were potentially impacted in this case.
Nobody got warned that, hey, this app, if you took this exam, the psychological exam, that your information was used and sold, but also your friend's information. And you go, well, you know, maybe the user can agree to it, but the friends didn't necessarily agree to it.
Hood has joined 36 other attorneys general in sending a letter to Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg. They're demanding to know when Facebook learned about the breach of privacy protections.
People just downloaded this app on Facebook that they thought was fine. They click on I agree. Nobody ever reads I agree because they make them so long that you're never going to sit there and read all of it.
That's part of the attorney's general request. They want to know if the terms of service were clear and understandable.
People go online and they assume that there's some type of regulatory scheme set up worldwide or some type of federal bureaucracy that's supposed to. There's nothing. It's the Wild West.
Hood's other concern about this issue is how that data was allegedly utilized.
Propaganda. And it was used by foreign sources to provide propaganda through Facebook, other online advertising platforms to target the conspiracy theorists who might believe some propaganda.
Hood says it will eventually take actions by Congress and/or the courts to fully force social media companies like Facebook to be held accountable.
And meanwhile, the Federal Trade Commission also announced it will investigate Facebook because of the Cambridge Analytica scandal.
No rain out there this evening, just some ground clutter here showing up on Viper, but our rain chances are going up later this week. It could be a soaker Wednesday and Thursday. The full forecast is next.
Your first alert forecast with Chief Meteorologist Keith Gibson.
All right, here's our Alpha Insurance time lapse from Columbus. The wind was up there today. You can see some of the flags flapping in the breeze there as they've been in the process of painting the water tower in Columbus, and those flaps moving around in that wind today. Here's our time lapse from Tupelo. Much the same story if you look closely at those flags right there downtown at Fair Park. Coming on in from the southeast. We've had some wind gusts today up to about 25 miles per hour. And right now things still a tad bit breezy out there across parts of the region, down to a sustained wind at 10 in Tupelo, 56 degrees. But it's a breezy and overcast night. Sustained wind still at 16 in Columbus. Much warmer down to the southwest. We will gradually moderate things a little bit going through the next couple of days. Now, over the last 24 hours in Columbus, basically holding steady, 55 to 60 degrees under the clouds, and we will maybe go down a few more degrees as we go throughout the course of the night. 50s in the morning, 60s at noon if we're lucky, mid to upper 60s in the afternoon. Some of you could get into the low 70s, so a little bit warmer southwest, cooler northeast, very similar to what we had out there today. That is what we are expecting now. Those overcast conditions will be with us. Can't rule out a spotty sprinkle, but basically dry tomorrow. Rain chances really increase, especially in the northwest by Wednesday morning, and they will continue to move down to the southeast, and some of that rain could be locally heavy, perhaps even a strong storm or two Wednesday into Thursday. Deep tropical moisture will be squeezed out of the atmosphere Wednesday through Thursday night, and we have the chance of 1 to 3, 4 plus inches of rain, give or take, here across the region. And I mentioned the chance for a strong storm. Can't rule it out Wednesday, especially to our southwest, and then on Thursday down to the south and east of the Golden Triangle area. But it doesn't look like this is going to be a prolific severe weather maker for us Wednesday or Thursday. More so a rain event. We will, of course, be watching out for this as we go throughout the next couple of days. So a little bit warmer Wednesday as that system comes on in. We'll see the rain a little bit cooler behind it, but it clears out just in time for Easter weekend. Your Good Friday should be fairly decent. Saturday, 73 degrees. Easter Sunday, partly cloudy, 75. So not too shabby here. We're going to get rid of the rain just in time for the weekend. Scott?
The MSU Bulldogs are playing their way through the NIT. Our Robbie Donahoe is in the Big Apple for the big game later in sports.
Watching WCBI News at 10 with Scott Martin.
Welcome back, everyone. Pretty much with everything, we've got to take the good with the bad, and with spring-like temperatures brings spring allergies. We learn who's most at risk in our Health Talk with Baptist.
Hi, I'm Dr. Justin Garner, and I'm part of the otolaryngology team at Baptist Memorial Hospital Golden Triangle. I want to talk to you about spring allergies, and it all begins with exposure. Even if you've inhaled an allergen many times before with no trouble, at some point, for some reason, the body flags it as an invader. During this particular exposure, the immune system studies the allergen and gets ready for the next exposure by developing special cells called antibodies designed to detect the allergen in the future. You're now sensitized to the allergen. Then, the next time your body is exposed to the allergen, your immune system kicks into action. The antibodies recognize it, and your body goes to work fighting off the invader by flooding your body with chemicals such as histamine. This is what produces your allergy symptoms. Keep in mind that the amount of exposure matters. There's a threshold or tipping point for people with allergies. You can handle some exposure, but if it gets to be too much, the immune system is triggered to attack. Some people, most often children, may outgrow an allergy completely. For others, their symptoms get worse as they get older and the immune system gets weaker. But once you have an allergy, it doesn't go away on its own. Join us next time for Health Talk with Baptist, and we'll discuss some of the worst allergen triggers.
Mail your topic suggestions to healthtalk@wcbi.com. Health Talk has been brought to you by Baptist Memorial Hospital Golden Triangle.
Coming up, I'm here in the Big Apple in New York City. We will continue to break down the matchup with Penn State and Mississippi State, and also look back a little on that big MSU win in Kansas City from last night. That's coming up next in sports.
Coverage of the men's NIT tournament is brought to you by OCH Regional Medical Center, Advanced Medicine, Compassionate Care, Starkville Ford Lincoln, and visit Columbus, the city that has it all.
The Bulldogs are back in Starkville with another regional final. Mississippi State enjoying the celebration last night in Kansas City. They got some news on the AP All-American team from today. Victoria Vivian's first-team AP All-American, Tiara McCowan, third-team, and Morgan Williams was honorable mention. If you remember, Vic Schaefer said earlier last week that they should get rid of the AP All-American list completely, get rid of the whole daggum award if Tiara McCowan didn't make first team. Well, she's on the third team, so we're going to have to get rid of the award. But regardless, All-American status for Tiara McCowan as the Bulldogs will continue to get set for Louisville coming up on Friday. We're getting set for a run to Columbus, Ohio. We can't wait to be there with Hale State Hoops. But I am here in New York City, Madison Square Garden behind me. They're just finishing up the Rangers-Capitals game inside of MSG. But for MSU, speaking of hockey and being a fight, it's going to be a slugfest coming up Tuesday night between Mississippi State and Penn State. The Bulldogs and Nittany Lions play very similar styles of basketball. But earlier today, we had a chance to catch up with the coaches and the players at the NIT press conference that was at the Marriott Marquis in downtown New York City. We had Ben Howland, we had Pat Chambers. We also had a chance to hear from Rick Stansberry. We'll get a chance to visit with him momentarily, but for Ben Howland and Mississippi State, getting a chance to play more postseason games, that's been the goal all along. And building this program through the NIT, these experiences have been invaluable.
It's been a tough road to get here from the standpoint of winning 2 road games. You know, winning at Baylor, who was the #1 seed in our quadrant of the NIT field, and then winning at Louisville, a very difficult place to play, both very good teams. It's been really good for our team in terms of building and helping the nucleus that returns a year from now. So it's been a great experience. We don't want it to end.
And MSU went to work at practice getting set for Penn State. They practice at Columbia University, that is here in New York. A good chance to be around an Ivy League school. When you're around an Ivy League school, it's strange. You're around really smart people. Mississippi State hoping they're going to be in that intelligence factor and be able to use that against Penn State while practicing at Columbia. It was a very enthusiastic, emotional, and really fun practice. Not your normal pregame practice for the Bulldogs. While this has been a business trip venture for Mississippi State, they've really enjoyed themselves being here in New York City. But priority one, getting the win over Penn State and getting to Thursday to play for that NIT championship.
We enjoyed our time being here yesterday, so I believe that's why we got here early. But for now, starting Monday, it's all about business, and we come here to try to win an NIT championship. So all the fun is behind us right now. It's just only strictly business.
You can't let it overwhelm you. You know, you got to remember what you came out here for. You know, just stay focused. You know, enjoy it while you can. But we came out here on a business trip, and we just want to finish the trip strong.
And then what could be the storyline of all storylines if Mississippi State wins Tuesday night and Western Kentucky wins the early game? Rick Stansberry goes up against his old team. He's the head coach now at Western Kentucky. Stansberry has done a phenomenal job with the Hilltoppers. He was at the press conference earlier today as well. He spoke glowingly about the job that Ben Howland has done at Mississippi State, but he also gave some advice to the head coach of the Bulldogs when he first took the job going to Starkville.
And Coach Howland, I kept telling him this 3 years ago. I said, the only bad thing about Starkville, and again, that was my life for years, come August, that water's going to be green and not blue. But the job he's done in the 3 years there is tremendous. And he's got that program heading back where you can compete at a national level. And again, he knows this, it's not easy. Very few people could have done a better job in what Ben has done at Mississippi State.
And speaking of Starkville, the water is hopefully blue there now, by the way. Dante Powers signed to continue his basketball career at EMCC next season. This past year, Powers averaged 9 points, 4 boards, 5 assists per game. He had other offers from East Central, Northeast, and ICC, but Powers said that Coach Begley wanted him to come play for him when he toured the campus in Scuba, and he is excited to be continuing his career at the next level. So congratulations to Dante from Starkville High signing that letter of intent. We will continue our coverage from here in New York City coming up tomorrow night here on WCBI Sports as the Bulldogs get set to take on the Nittany Lions of Penn State in the NIT semifinals. Reporting here in New York City, Robbie Donahoe, WCBI Sports. We will get a last look at your forecast when we come back.
We have another weather radio event coming up this week. This will be Thursday, 4 to 6 at the Kroger in Starkville. Now, Thursday's shaping up to be a wet day around here. Don't really anticipate a lot of stormy weather Wednesday or Thursday. Can't rule it out at this point, but there's going to be more rain than anything else, it would appear. As we get into your weekend, Easter weekend, hard to believe it's creeping on up, and we're actually going to see a fairly sunny and pretty mild weekend. including Easter Sunday. So,
you know, usually it seems like it always rains on Easter, or at least growing up, I remember it always raining on Easter.
And typically around here, we'll get one last cold snap right around Easter weekend. Maybe we've already gone through that.
I hope so. I'm over it.
I know most people are.
All right, thanks, Keith. Thanks for watching. Have a good night. We'll see you back here tomorrow.